Good day, guys. Good afternoon or good whatever, wherever you are at the moment. Hope you're doing well. We're going to try something different. So if you're here to learn about the process of energy in your body, ATP, how it's converted into energy in the muscle and all of that. Well, this is not it. I need to produce more content somehow. I don't know. This is kind of part of branding in the internet. This is how you build a brand. This is how you build a business in 2025 and so on. I've tried a bunch of stuff, as you know, in the past. And I know I've always said that I would focus more on content and do more of that and do more of all of it. But at some point, it could get repetitive in many ways. And I don't want to be, but maybe it's me, maybe I since I know the subject, since I know what I'm talking about, maybe I find it repetitive, maybe it's not. But I want to start putting out 2 videos a week. Don't quote me on that. If I miss a week, I'm not overly stressed about anything, but hopefully I put out a video on a Tuesday and again on Friday. Tuesday video will be more casual, talking about superheroes and what I read throughout the week, and talking about that. And Friday will be more fitness. So if you're here for the fitness, that's going to be on Friday. If you're here for the comics, well, sit down, chill, grab a cup of coffee. I'm going to talk about why Superman. If you're on the internet, you've heard that Superman is lame. He can never lose. And yeah, sure. And I get that, and I understand the idea behind it. And this is why hopefully the movie that is coming out this summer in July will most likely tackle that Superman and show everyone who's never read a comic, who's never picked up a book about Superman, and who's only seen the movies, why Superman is great. And there's a bit of that in the Zack Snyder movies of Superman on the Man of Steel. There's a bit of that, but not to the extent where we understand the real value of Superman and who he is and why he exists and why I like him. I read a bunch of books and comic books and all that makes Superman boring. I read a bunch of them that are boring, that you just go through and you're like, all right, that was fun. That was a panel of like pow, piff, paff, poof, and very simple and very easy. Kind of like this is, I mean, Superman needs to be Superman. He still needs to be fighting at some point. But when it's a whole book of that, this can be boring. That is not a boring one. This is just a panel I found that represent the idea behind it. This one has a lot of stuff. It has Superman, I'll get into this one later, but he has Superman working with new friends and meeting new foes, which is a good one. But what I wanted to talk about is one I touched on a couple of, a couple months ago, because it's a book that came out in 2023, late 2023, and went into 2024. So it's a 10-part series, right? So there's 10 little floppies like this. And it's called Superman Lost. And if there's one place, that's not this. If there's one place you could start a read on Superman, you don't have to buy them, because I don't think you can at this point anymore. You don't have to buy them in floppies and all in these little books. I would guess that I didn't check, that you could potentially find the book, right? Because they end up selling paperbacks at some point down the line. Usually takes a couple of months, but they go with this, and then they sell they start selling a hardcover, and later on they sell a paperback. If you like the hardcover, grab the hardcover. I prefer the paperback just because they take less space when you try to put them away, right? I do have some hardcovers, but there are all too big. So I do prefer paperback, but paperback takes more time to produce. They don't do as much anymore. So if you can find it, do. It's probably someplace online as well that you can read it. This would be a good place to start to understand Superman if you've never read any Superman. There's others we can debate forever onto which one is the best, and this is not what got me into Superman. It's other books that got me into Superman, but this one is one that, you know, takes a bit of, seems like everything, the trauma, the values, who he is, his real fight, right? His real core values and everything, and yet just kind of packaged it into a whole idea. So again, it's not the only thing you could read, but this is one that if you want to start somewhere, you could. The idea behind Superman Lost is simple, yet at times confusing, because there's a lot of travels in space and time as well. So he goes into helping the Justice League, and then just a couple hours later, so you see Lois basically, I haven't read it in a while, so if I miss some spot and you're like, that's not exactly it, maybe not, you know, I didn't read it through again to talk about it. So basically he's with Lois in his apartment, and then Batman's just like, hey, what's up? So he goes, you know, with the Justice League, fights, comes back a couple hours later, and is kind of, you know, not really there. Doesn't understand what's going on, where he is. And to him, it has been 20 years. And to Lois, it has been a couple of hours, right? So this is where it all starts. This is where the idea starts. And then you move into what happened throughout that 20 years, right? His internal struggles. He got to some planets where he could have gone home quicker, faster, and be home, you know, in an instant, kind of. But his values of helping other people kind of stopped him from doing that, because he was like, I cannot leave here yet because they have issues here that I need to help fix. So he helps fix that, but he's so far into space at some point that he loses slowly his powers. So he cannot fly anymore. He doesn't have his powers anymore. He cannot go back to Earth. Has to find, you know, a suit that powers him, that helps him, you know, have energy in space, but that depletes as well. So it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of it's not piff puff puff, I'm kicking your ass, but there's a lot of internal struggles. There's a lot of traumas he's trying to reconcile with when he's with Lois. I want to say spoiler alert. I'm not going to say that. Read it. We'll talk about that later. There's a part in there where an alien comes back to Earth as well, finds Superman and is like, hey, remember me? Which is also very funny in how all that happens. So it's a great story. If you have one to read, do that. Again, this is why I like Superman, because when Superman is well written, when the people that write his stories care about his story and care about what makes Superman Superman, and not that he's a untouchable force, right? But he has different challenges than you and I. It's very nice. And I think Superman Lost also came out at a very weird time in my life where I also felt a bit lost, and that, you know, it resonated well with that time of my life as well. Now, so that was then. This is more now. Well, when I say now, it's like it started in October. And these videos, and hopefully there's like 2 people watching it. Hi, the 2 people watching it. Maybe there's more. That would be nice too. But I can also do that for me because I like doing that, and it creates content. And also, you know, that will keep me accountable for reading more, because I kind of slipped out on that. I didn't read as much comics I wanted to in the last couple of months. So I want to go back to that a bit more. So these will help me do that because I'll have to read something. Otherwise, I can't talk about anything. So if you're not aware, DC made DC All In, where I'm just starting the All In. So I'm in October right now. So I'm kind of late in the game. So I'm starting with that, and I need also Absolute to read. So I need to read Absolute first before I start All In. But All In is a total different, story idea that takes on the past stories that we had and move it forward, but also brings different stuff in there in a more cohesive way, maybe. I read The Flash. I don't think I read The Flash All In. I read The Flash of the last story. Very confusing. And the reason why I take All In now, and it's to kind of show you just one panel, which is, it might be a spoiler, I don't know, which is kind of, it's this one. I won't tell you who this is. This is Time Trapper. I won't tell you who Time Trapper is. So you'll learn that in the Superman if you ever read it. But basically, he's talking to Superman into like helping him. So he needs help to do something because he's someone that Superman knows. He's asking him to help him. Superman's gonna, I'm not gonna do that. And then he says, the horror that comes next, the lives lost. You will be tested in ways you have never been tested before. You will survive as you always do. The rest of your allies are not so lucky. So he's seen the future. He's seen a bunch of stuff. Makes it very interesting into what's coming. And again, makes it, an internal struggle that Superman now has to live with. He knows something is coming. He knows not everyone will survive it, but he will. Now, how does he goes about that? So does he only punches his way through or whatever? Maybe not. Who knows? I'll have to read the rest to know about that. So there's another part also in that where Time Trapper, who you should know at some point who it is, says something in the lines that he will outlive everyone he loves and it will all die and it will still be there. He knows that. He never told it to anyone. So again, interesting fact, interesting story, interesting idea that he will outlive everyone. But now, again, another thing he has to live with. So this is why Superman is cool. So whoever tells you that Superman sucks, now you have ammunition against them. You can let them know that, sure, I get it. If the only thing you know, so go after them. Like, if the only thing you know about Superman is that he punches and he's invulnerable and he goes faster than a bullet, at this time, Superman goes faster than space and time itself. That happened in the story. But yeah, if it's the only thing they know, now you know. You'd be like, buddy, that's not who Superman is. So if you read a real story, you know. So this is why he's nice. This is why I like him. We'll do that more. I'm just gonna pick up what I read, what I like. Right now I'm reading a bunch of Superman because I had too many detective comics to read. Got bored of all the detective comics I had to read because everything was Batman at some point. So I was like, okay, can I read something else? So very happy now that I'm into Superman. I have a bunch of Wonder Woman as well. So maybe next week we'll talk about that. And I'll see you on Friday for maybe that exact space. Who knows? But we'll talk about something fitness. And yeah, I'll see you then.